President and Mrs. Truman returned from a 20-day Key West vacation to the rebuilt White House. They're back at the executive mansion after almost 4 years, and the press asked Mr. Truman, who has a new key to the place, just how long he and Mrs. Truman plan to remain in the White House. But it's not till the Jefferson-Jackson Dinner 2 nights later that Mr. Truman, entering the National Guard Armory in Washington here, speaks about his plans. 5,000 Democrats at the $100 a plate affair, including Mrs. Truman and National Chairman McKinney, hear the president praise the Democratic Party's record. Then, almost casually, while discussing that record, he lets loose some explosive news.
Whoever the Democrats nominate for president this year, he will have this record to run upon. I shall not be a candidate for re-election. I have served my country long and I think efficiently and honestly. I shall not accept a renomination. I do not feel that it is my duty to spend another 4 years in the White House. We must always remember the things the Democratic Party has done and the high ideals that have made it great. We must be true to its principles and keep it foremost in service of the people. If we do that, we can be sure that there will be a Democratic president in the White House for the next 4 years.
Here in Truman's own hand is the farewell note that set Americans talking all over the country. On New York sidewalks, a Warner Pathe reporter questioned some of those Americans.
Hate to see the guy go.
You hate to see him go?
Yeah.
You're a Truman man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about it. I first heard about it last night, and I think Truman's a good man, but afraid that the Republicans might get in because of it. I hope he changes his mind and runs again.
Well, I'm a Kefauver man myself.
You're a Kefauver man?
Yeah, I'm a Kefauver woman.
Oh, yes.
I think it's a good decision for the country, and I'm for Taft.
I was disappointed of Mr. Truman's decision because he was always a very wise president, and I thought he was one of the best presidents the United States ever had.
Yeah, I think the wisest thing Truman did since he became president is what he declared last night, that he wouldn't go out again for election. And finally, I believe that Truman himself will vote for Eisenhower.
Thank you, sir.
In the gallery of the Capitol in Washington, Prime Minister Winston Churchill is among the notable members of the audience as President Truman arrives to make his yearly State of the Union speech. The president, who is greeted on the rostrum by Vice President Alvin W. Barkley and Speaker of the House Sam Rayburn, warns of the dangers ahead and reminds America that peace is always our objective.
Peace is our goal. Not peace at any price, but a peace based on freedom and justice. This year, 1952, is a critical year in the defense effort of the whole free world. If we falter, we can lose all the gains we've made. The threat of world war is still very real. We had one Pearl Harbor. Let's not get caught off guard again. Our kind of government, above all others, cannot tolerate dishonesty among public servants. I intend to see to it that federal employees who have been guilty of misconduct are punished for it. Let us go forward, trusting in the God of peace to win the goals we seek.
The UN celebrates its 6th birthday by lighting up not candles, but the windows in its Manhattan headquarters. For stamp collectors, United Nations Day has a special importance. In its own post office in the headquarters, the UN sells its own stamps, and eager philatelists declare they won't be licked in the struggle to get the first issues. In Washington, in another phase of the UN Day celebration, President Truman greets veterans from 19 nations battling the Reds in Korea. The president draws a chuckle when he tells them, If anyone doesn't treat you right, why, you tell me. Later, the veterans touring the country as an example of international fellowship go to the steps of the Capitol to hear Secretary of State Dean Acheson. Mr. Acheson tells them that the UN Army may have put off forever the horror of a third major war by showing aggressive nations that they can't get away with it.
And therefore the United Nations has taken on a virility and life which it would never have gained if its path had been easy. If it had merely gone forward with everyone's goodwill, it would have not had this breathing, vigorous, powerful life which it is getting today.
Then the scene moves to Paris, where the new session of the General Assembly opens. French Foreign Minister Robert Schuman passes to Trig Vallee, Secretary General of the United Nations, the keys to the Palais de Chaillot. The palace becomes international territory and a symbol of the world's fight for peace. The nation takes a tour of the White House with a distinguished guide. President Truman meets 3 reporters in the main hall for a pictorial trip through the recently renovated presidential mansion. Almost $6 million have been spent in strengthening and rebuilding the White House, the president says, and he wants the American people to see it now. In the beautiful oval-shaped Blue Room, Mr. Truman mentions that it was the danger of collapse here that led to the renovation. His own office was right above, and one day he felt the floor trembling below him. The president leads the tour to the East Room, on whose piano he plays a small portion of Mozart's Ninth Sonata.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The room's second piano is also recommended by Mr. Truman.
I think that was very fair to play both pianos, Mr. President.
Well, that's a beautiful piano. Both of them are.
America's foremost guide shows America's foremost house.
Now it's both Truman and Dewey in the White House, as much-traveled Thomas E. Dewey arrives on presidential invitation to discuss with Harry Truman the New York governor's 41,000-mile tour of the Far East. In answer to reporters, Dewey called the conversation very interesting, and Truman called it very satisfactory, but both failed to disclose details.
President Truman presents his friend and colleague Alban Barkley with a gavel made of White House timbers of 1817, commemorating the Vice President's 38th year in Congress. The ceremony takes place in the Senate, and the President says he wishes he were back there himself. The next day, however, Mr. Truman... Queen Juliana of the Netherlands gets a 21-gun salute as she arrives in Washington aboard a Dutch airliner. She's accompanied by Prince Bernhard, her German-born husband. President Truman, who only a few minutes previous had engaged in a public argument with Attorney General McGrath, is smiling now as he greets the royal couple. The reddish-haired 42-year-old queen, who made several visits to America during the war, will spend 4 weeks touring the U.S. and Canada with her husband after a 3-day visit to the Trumans. In scenes reminiscent of the greeting given Elizabeth and Philip last year, 250,000 Washingtonians turn out in welcome. U.S. and Netherlands flags line the roof. An unexpected rainstorm hits Washington as the royal caravan nears the White House. Juliana and Prince Bernhard are the first royal guests to stay in the redecorated mansion. In her first public speech, Juliana thanks America for its aid to her country and says the Dutch people will carry their full share of the burden in the common effort to build world peace.
From Washington's National Airport, President Truman sets off for an inspection flight over the Midwest area inundated by the rampaging Ohio River. Earlier at his press conference, he told reporters he had ordered his name withdrawn from the New Hampshire primary, where Senator Kefauver was running. Now aboard an Army plane, Mr. Truman makes a 4-hour flight over Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. The $20 million flood has left 9,000 homeless and 10 dead. Near-zero weather adds further hazards. As the president returns home, the RFC says it will make $80 million available to flood